Welcome to day 31 of Michael Keaton Month, where I have reviewed every movie that Michael Keaton has appeared in. We're finally there, the finish line is here, it's done. I've completed the Michael Keaton Month and it took a long time, a lot of effort, a lot of stress. I just feel the weight of the world lifted off my shoulders now. It was a tough but fun project to do. I'm going to make a video talking about everything that went behind it, how I prepared it, how I kind of was flying by the seat of my pants for most of it, and how I put some of the stuff together if anyone's interested, and I'll do that video in a couple of days so I don't clog up this video, because there are two movies to get to that were released this year in 2013. The first was Clear History, which was released on the 10th of August 2013, and the tagline for this movie, which was a TV movie released by HBO, was a story of wealth, fame, power, and this guy. This guy being Larry David, who plays a character called Nathan Flom. And he's this marketer who works for this company who are making electric cars and trying to get those electric cars to be the next big thing. The company is run by a guy called Will Haney, played by Jon Hamm. And, Nathan and Will, they rub each other the wrong way, or should I say, Nathan rubs Will the wrong way. Or, well, Will rubs Nathan the wrong way, and it doesn't really work, because Larry David's character, Nathan Flom, he doesn't like the fact that Will is going to name this electric car Howard, which is after his son, which has also been named after, or who has also been named after, a character in The Fountainhead. Nathan hates this, and he says, "Do you know what, you can take a 10% share in the company, I'm leaving him out of it." He soon realises that was a stupid decision, so he tries to get his job back. Jon Hamm doesn't give it to him, he says, "You've made your bed, you're going to lie in it now." And the Howard car, the electric car, becomes the next big thing, and he lost millions of dollars, a huge amount of money, and so he's kind of fucked himself over by having this petty argument over the name of the car. We flash forward 10 years, because that took place in 2003, the first 15 minutes or so of the movie. 2013, present day, he's living in this small town, and he now goes by the name of Rollie. And everyone loves him in the town, he's established himself there over 10 years. It's worth mentioning as well, in 2003 he had long hair and a long beard. Now he's got it all shaved and he looks like Larry David. And the style of comedy in this movie is very much Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's an offshoot of that. I haven't seen much of that, but I know enough to know that it's very similar in style. It's a very Larry David centric kind of story and style of comedy. It's a Larry David vehicle. Michael Keaton plays a guy called, I think it's, his second name's Stumpo, and that's what they just refer to him to, but his full name, if they've got it here, is Joe Stumpo. Yeah, that's what I thought. And Stumpo is, hard to describe him, but if you see him, you just know what his character's meant to be, and he's got these mutton chops, and this kind of, this hat, he just looks like a proper kind of worker, bit of a kind of grimy, kind of greasy guy, and he comes into play later on in the film. So, Rollie, Nathan, he's got a new life, he's happy in this small town where no one knows who he is, and all the money he lost because it was a big story that he left the company just before they made billions of dollars. And he's perfectly happy until Will turns up in that town with his wife, played by Kate Hudson. And they're building this big house that most people in the town, they don't like it. They think it's a monstrosity because the town's very small and a lot of nature and stuff. They don't like it. And the guy who's building this house is played again by a great actor, but I always forget his name, Philip Baker Hall. His character's name is Mackenzie. Philip Baker Hall is just a legend. He's been in so many great movies, and this cast is just awesome. Jon Hamm, Philip Baker Hall, Larry David, Bill Hader is in this. He's the only kind of he's the apprentice of Stumpo, who's played by Michael Keaton. Kate Hudson, Danny McBride's in this. Eva Mendes, she's in it as this Cuban woman. Danny McBride plays Frank, who's just kind of a friend of Rollie's, I guess you could say. But he soon finds out that Rollie is actually Nathan Flom, because as soon as Will moves into the town, they just kind of everything starts getting a bit crazy, to the point where, Rollie, Nathan, he wants to blow up the house. He wants to blow up this house that Will is building in the town. And so that's when he contacts Stumpo, who can work with explosives. And then they contact this Russian guy, who's played by Liev Schreiber. And this is just a really fun movie. I really enjoyed it. There's some great lines in it. It was just a dream come true for me to see Michael Keaton and Danny McBride acting in the same scene together. Michael Keaton definitely now my favourite actor ever. You know, he's not the best actor of all time, but he's my favourite actor. And he's one of my favourite comedic actors as well. Michael Keaton is hilarious. So to see him acting alongside Danny McBride, who is my favourite comic actor of today, was brilliant. And they had a few scenes together, and that was just great. And then seeing Bill Hader as well, who I'm a big fan of, and Larry David all in the same. It's just brilliant. There's lots of comedy greatness in this movie. I feel like it was overcast. I mean, I love the cast and everything, but there were so many characters and, you know, so many kind of big names, I guess you could say, that not many of them had that much character development. It was mainly only Nathan that we got a lot of time with. Even Will Haney, played by Jon Hamm again, didn't get that much time for us to delve into his character. That we learn, like, you know, what's going on with him and stuff, and it all leads to a very interesting ending that I was really tense for. I almost felt like skipping ahead because I was so tense about what was going to happen, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really great movie. Well, I wouldn't say it was a really great movie, but it was a really enjoyable one, you know, and I've definitely watched it again and again. But again, maybe kind of, I guess it's a movie that doesn't need that much character development, but it wasn't fantastic, and there was a few things that were just like, I don't know, a few things that were missing to make it like really great, like, you have to see this movie. I wouldn't say that, but I really enjoyed it on a personal level, and again, not a huge fan of Larry David either, so that was a bit hit and miss, but overall, really enjoyed Clear History, and I do recommend you check it out, but don't rush out to see it, you know. And that's coming out, I believe, on DVD and Blu-ray in America next week, so pretty cool timing on me doing this review. But Clear History, just really cool for me seeing Danny McBride and Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was great in it as well. I really enjoyed his character, and it was perfect for him as well, and he played it really well.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Howard.
The Howard?
Yes.
Nobody's gonna buy a car named Howard. Call it a Dewey. That's a good name. Call it Duncan.
I'm really sorry.
It doesn't matter if you apologize if it's not sincere.
Apologies don't have to be sincere.
That is literally the only thing an apology has to be. I'm sorry it had to be like this.
You see? You apologized, but you didn't mean it.
And he said, well, if you don't like it, you can sell back your shares. And I did.
It's the worst decision you've ever made in your life.
You made the worst decision. Howard.
The Howard is literally a billion-dollar idea.
Electron Motors stock continued its meteoric rise. That's good news for everyone, except this man.
Ah!
This must be the people who bought Blue Heron.
My whole life is here. All my friends are here. My house is here. He's already ruined my life once. Is he gonna ruin it again? We know one another?
I don't understand how he couldn't recognize you.
No, I look completely different.
Holy shit. You look like the guy who kidnapped Elizabeth Smart.
This whole charade's over. I'm telling everybody. Tip of that.
There's no tat. There was no tit. Can I say something crazy?
It's stupid.
What an idiot!
That's a nice story.
The next movie, it's very difficult to find out when this movie actually came out. It was released this year in America. I don't even know if it was released in screens, but it's been released periodically throughout this year in different countries on DVD and Blu-ray, and it is Penthouse North. It's a low-budget movie. Also worth noting that Clear History movie was a HBO production that was shown on HBO in August this year. So it was about, I guess, 11 years since Keaton had done a HBO TV movie, and that was really successful as well. I don't know how successful Clear History was. I don't know if it was rated well. I haven't looked that up, but well, I can have a look now, I guess. It's got a 6.7 rating on IMDb. I would agree with that. I'd give it a 7 or so if I'm thinking about it honestly. But yeah, Penthouse North stars Michelle Monaghan. She's a photojournalist called Sarah, and at the beginning of the movie we see her in Afghanistan, and she's a victim of a suicide bomber, and this leaves her blind. Now the thing I didn't like about this movie was this suicide bomber was right next to her. Boom! And then we get the opening credits, and we see kind of her eyes and stuff, and we find out, you know, 3 years later she's living in New York, I think, and you know, she's blind, but her face is perfect. No facial scarring, not even light scarring, just blind. That's all it was. And I just thought, a little unrealistic. Maybe they just did that because they wanted to have a nice pretty face to market on the cover of the DVD. I don't know. But that was probably my only made... Well, there's 2 complaints I have about the film. The second one, I'll get right into it, is the CGI. In fact, no, I'll leave that till the end because it kind of gives away something about the story, which I'll talk about now. She's living with her boyfriend in this penthouse at the top of this building. And again, she's blind. She's trying to make the best of it. And she comes home after going out, and she's, you know, again using a stick and stuff, and she comes in and she's feeling away around the apartment. She can't hear her boyfriend anywhere, and it's a big penthouse, really expensive, and her boyfriend is in the kitchen, just dead, blood everywhere. Really tense, because it suddenly like gets really serious, and like, okay, what's going on? When's she gonna find him? Because she doesn't know that he's there, and she's walking around the blood and stuff, and you're like, oh god, and it's really, really well done. And then she finds out, obviously, and there's another guy in the apartment, and he kind of terrorizes her, and she manages to escape, and she gets outside, and there's a cop there, played by Michael Keaton, who takes her back into the penthouse. He says he's going to keep her safe, and I'm thinking, so it's going to be this kind of him and her against this psychopath. Turns out he is on the side of this psychopath, which is kind of giving things away, but I'm sure if you watch a trailer that gives it away anyway. But it really surprised me, and I'm sure people aren't going to rush out to see this, because it is just a straight to DVD movie, you know, by all accounts. And Michael Keaton's character is called Hollander, and the other guy is called Chad, played by Barry Sloane. So Hollander and Chad, they've got Sarah, and they're just terrorizing her for the whole movie. Most of the movie is just in that penthouse suite, you know, and you know they're trying to find this, we don't know what, you know, money or diamonds. It's, you know, it's very unclear. She says she doesn't know anything, so they're just using an intimidation tactic. She's trying to get away. It's quite good, but to me, I feel like it was not enough material for a movie, because it's about 8-9 minutes before the credits are done, you know, and that opening scene with her in Afghanistan, and then like the shots of her eyes and stuff, and then her, you know, in this penthouse before she goes out and the movie really starts. It was 8 or 9 minutes. I'm thinking that's a very long opening for a movie that doesn't have that much to it, and it felt like it was dragging on a bit, but I did enjoy it. Keaton was good, you know, playing this kind of villainous role, but he's trying to play the nice guy at the same time. Chad's a bit more of a, again, psychotic character. But I didn't really like, well, the guy who played Chad, Barry Sloane, he was okay. Keaton was really good. I really liked Michelle Monaghan's performance. It was really good. A bit inconsistent maybe, but in terms of the writing anyway. But the way she acted it all was brilliant, I thought. I really like her as an actress, by the way. But yeah, my second complaint was the CGI. There's a few CGI shots, and well, a lot of CGI shots, because you can tell they shot it on a set. And in some shots it's more noticeable than others, kind of like the lighting isn't so perfect around the edges of their heads when you see the outside and stuff, in just a few scenes. And there's an establishing shot of the penthouse where it's the building and then 2 buildings on the side, and it kind of zooms in on the penthouse just a tiny bit, and the buildings move, but you can tell it's not real. Well, it's real, but it's a Photoshop effect. I know it's, you know, it just looks like a shot from a cheap YouTube web series where they're literally just 2 pictures of buildings kind of being digitally zoomed forward or backwards, I think, and it looked a bit tacky, to be honest. It was done well, but it just didn't fit the look of the movie, because it looks like a movie. It doesn't look like it was a low budget shot, you know, on video. It was shot on, it looks like, well, I'm sure it was digitally shot, but you know, film quality image, and then you get this kind of Photoshoppy kind of establishing shot that was quite weird. Also a shot where she gets to the top of the building, she's trying to wave a helicopter down. I think there were about 3 or 4 shots of that, and they're all good except for one where it just looked like a video game, and I was just like, you probably just cut that one shot out, because the other 3 were really strong, you know, or strong in comparison. Overall, Penthouse North, I enjoyed it. Definitely not a great movie, but you know, Keaton's in it, and I'm biased, you know, I enjoyed his performance, and I was again invested in what was going to happen. If you don't want to be spoiled, then I'll say thank you for watching this video, thank you for watching any of the Michael Keaton videos, but I'm now going to carry on and talk about the ending of the movie. So feel free to leave now, or close the video. Now the ending, you know, they find the diamonds, they're in, well, Chad finds the diamonds while Keaton is kind of busting Sarah's figurative balls. He's kind of, you know, trying to figure out where these diamonds are. Chad's inside fixing Keaton a drink, and he sees that the diamonds are hidden inside the ice cube tray. So he's trying to get them all and keep them for himself, and she's trying to play them off each other to kill each other. She has a cat, and Keaton actually throws it off the edge of the building. He's toying with her and he just throws it off. And Chad, who's again been touted by Keaton's character Hollander as this psychopath, is like, whoa, that was fucking dark. That was a bit out of character, I think. If he's willingly killing people and he's got a bit of a psychopathic mean streak to him, I don't see how killing a cat was make you think, wow, that's dark, you know. But yeah, so you know, it was like, oh god, he killed the cat. That was horrible. The end of the movie, you know, Chad gets killed. It's Hollander and Sarah, and she gets the gun, and she's on the edge of the building. She's pointing the gun at him, and so you know he's frozen because he hasn't got a gun. And if she hears him move towards him, she's going to know where he is and shoot him. The movie takes place on New Year's Eve, and just as that moment happens, the fireworks start going off. So he's trying to get his window, and she ends up shooting him a couple of times. He grabs onto her anyway, and she throws him off the building. There's a bit of a scuffle. It's quite realistic. It wasn't like she flipped him up or anything. And we see this really cool shot where he falls down. You can see his face for a few frames, and his body just hits the side of the building, flops off a bit, and then splat. And I was like, that was pretty cool. My favourite thing about the movie was the final shot where he's just there, just dead like that, and maybe his body was a bit too intact for how rough that fall was and how high he fell, but he's there, and then the shadow of the cat comes up, almost like Batman, and I just thought, that's awesome. And the cat just kind of wanders in, kind of goes into his stomach and kind of purrs a little, and then walks off, and that's the end of the movie. I thought that was the best part of the movie. I really liked that, and it's not too inconceivable that a cat could have somehow survived that by, I don't know, scraping down the wall or something. But you know, cats are very resilient, so I like that. It was a cool little fun moment at the end of the movie. Overall, Penthouse North wasn't fantastic, but you know, for Keaton fans, I'd check it out. It was a good one. It's been slated. Some people say it's the worst movie they've ever seen. Granted, it's not great, but I enjoyed it, honestly, so it is what it is. This is the end of Michael Keaton month. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been really, really fun. Again, I'll make another video talking about everything that's gone behind this series. But anyone who's watched these videos and commented especially, and liked the videos, thanks a lot. You know, thanks to Connie for joining me for the Beetlejuice review. Thanks to Ryan for giving up his free time to do some reviews with me of Batman, Batman Returns, and Jackie Brown. And go back and check out the videos if you haven't seen them. I mean, I know everyone's been preoccupied with horror movies this month, so I can understand you not wanting to, you know, indulge in all these Michael Keaton movies. And it's a bit of a niche subject, I guess you could say. Keaton isn't the most popular actor in the world, but definitely my favourite actor now after seeing all his movies. And here I can say I've seen every single one of his movies, and that's great. There's one thing I really want to do and review in this series, but I didn't have the time, and it's something called The Company, which is a mini-series. It's about 5 hours long, I think. I just didn't have the time to squeeze it in, and it's not technically a movie, so I didn't feel too bad about not doing it. But ironically, that movie, the character he plays in that is the screenshot I've used for the title card of every Michael Keaton month video. So I'm definitely going to do it at some point, and maybe just call it Michael Keaton month extra, and then review the Company in that. But that won't be for a while. What's next for Michael Keaton? You know, after doing this month, it's come out that Beetlejuice 2 is dangerously close to being made, so that's really interesting. We were just talking about that in the Beetlejuice review a few weeks ago, so I really hope that happens. But what you can expect from Michael Keaton is a big year next year, which I'm really looking forward to. 2014, he's starring in 3 movies. He's going to be in Need for Speed with Aaron Paul of Breaking Bad fame. He's going to be in the new RoboCop remake, which I'm not too you know, offended by, like most people are. And he's also going to be starring in a starring role in The Birdman, in which he plays a kind of bitter actor who is plagued by the by the fact that he played this superhero in his earlier days, early on in his career, which has got a very interesting parallel to himself playing Batman, and he's followed around by this Birdman character. We've seen, you know, well, people who keep up with movie news, there's been some still shots from that movie, him running around Times Square in his tighty whities and being lifted up on wires doing stunts. So it looks like a really interesting movie. I know Emma Stone's in it, so I hope that leads to a bit of a resurgence for him, because I really think he should be starring in more prominent movies. But he has said in an interview that, and I won't bother using the clips, I've used too many clips over this month, but he said that, you know, sometimes he'll do movies for the money, and he says he admits that. He says that, you know, sometimes I look at it and think, well, it's not going to hurt my career, the money's good, you know, why not do it? Usually, he said, usually I don't tend to be that good in those kind of movies. But most of the time he gravitates towards stuff that interests him, or he thinks that he might not be able to do, and there's a bit of a challenge and stuff. I also think maybe that a lot of the reason that he does a lot of these independent movies or smaller roles is because of the time. You know, these independent movies, you know, they take like 20, 30 days to make, whereas these bigger movies take months. And he also quoted in this same interview, someone told him once that you can either have in this business a big career and a life, or you can have a big life and, you know, a career. And he would choose the latter of that. And I think he's just enjoying life at this point in his career, and just doing what interests him. But it's good to see him starring in 3 movies next year. It's going to be great. I might even review them and call it a Michael Keaton month extra video, because I'm slightly OCD and I'd love to kind of have it all in one series, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. Thank you very much for watching. It's been really awesome. I've enjoyed it a lot and waffled on for far too long about Michael Keaton or Michael Douglas, and thank you for watching once again.
When are you gonna let me turn this into an engagement ring?
You do not ever give up.
No, I want something.
Ryan. Get your fucking hands off me!
My name's Robert Shea, I'm a New York City prosecutor.
It's him.
I know.
I don't know.
Sarah, just tell me where the diamonds are.
Nice fucking model!